Hey, hey, I think it's about that time, don't you? Don't you think it's about that time? I think that's the time that it's about. Right now. I think it's right now. Hello. Hello, friendships. Hi. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the nerdery, as I call it. Oh boy. So nerd. Such nerd. Can you guys hear and see me? Is everything looking, coming through okay? Making sure everything's good before I get too far into here. Yes. I have my personalized cup. It's not mine. Just kidding. It is. It is mine. I actually had this cup when I was a young warthog. When I was a young warthog! I did. I got this when I was like, I don't know, maybe like 3 or 4. And it had pencils in it for a really long time. But then I cleaned it out good. And now it has tea in it. That's how it works. That's how it works. Man, you guys, so we have a little while here. And I'm really excited to dive into anything and everything that we can when it comes to post-production questions, things with DaVinci Resolve, things with Fusion, color, editing, anything that I can dive into and give some kind of decent answer to, I want to do that. That said, we have to have an agreement here that you don't take things personal if I skip over your question or I don't know how to answer it, or I say I don't want to get into it right now. Those are the only things, because I do know, I know how to explain some stuff and some stuff I don't. So I don't want to pretend like I know something when I don't. Okay. So that's just a little bit of my nerves getting out of the way. There's some things I'm like, dude, I don't know how to do. I don't really know how to do that, especially live. Derping through something is not going to be that helpful unless we want to go on a journey like that and explore it together. But I'm thinking that a lot of the time you probably want a nice, quick, concise answer, which I would have to research first. Okay, is that cool? Are we cool with that? Give me a thumbs up if you're cool with that. Give me a thumbs up in the chat. If everybody's cool, then we can continue. And also, if I miss something, if you ask something and I just totally miss it, feel free to post it again. And I'll try and say like, oh, I can't really answer that right now or whatever. Okay. To have a girlfriend, I have a permanent girlfriend. I have a wife and 3 kids. Yep. But thank you for asking. You guys, I'm so excited to be here. I'm really thankful that anybody watches this channel ever, but I'm especially thankful to be here live with you, and really excited for all of the fun nerdiness that we get into. I love being a nerd. I love talking about all of this stuff, and this is a highlight of my week anytime we get to do this. So, shall we dive in? I'm going to prioritize quick questions because then I don't have to take us on like a 20-minute tangent. But any question that you have about Resolve, we can try and do it. I have some things prepared that we can maybe look at and go over. Yeah. So let's go. Let's try it. Make a video on how to create transitions in Fusion and save export for Fusion use. Can be shared to a friend who can install it. Actually, Mr. Alex Tech has a really good video on that. I was thinking about making a video for it, but why? This is so good. I'm just like, I just watched that one. I forget, I don't have a link to it like handy, but that exists. What's up, Patrick Sterling? Guys, go follow Patrick Sterling if you haven't. If you like Fusion and you like all of the fancy things that you probably like if you're watching my channel, go and follow Patrick Sterling. That guy's great. Okay, what was I doing before YouTube? There was no life before YouTube. I was working in broadcast television, actually. And I ended up making some YouTube videos about kind of our workflow, and it took off from there. So yeah. I'm gonna try and keep up. You guys are crazy. Can you only do a 3D text with a camera tracker? Want to do a flyby test? You can do 3D text however you want. It doesn't have to just be a camera tracker. if you want it to move with a camera, you have to 3D track it, unless the camera isn't itself moving. If it's just like panning or tilting, you can do that with the 2D track. I like to use like a planar tracker for that. All right. What does it mean when a node is red in the color window? Ooh, you mean like this? Oh, you can't see it. Do you mean like this? Like when it's red like this? Is that what you're talking about? Man, this is going to be really difficult to show you. Because I have chat. My monitor is kind of weird today. If this is what you mean, this just means it's selected is all. If you're talking about like it's, like if it's like disabled or something, I'm not sure. I don't really remember exactly what it looks like if there's something wrong. If it doesn't look like this, it's something's wrong. Okay. Let me bring up my chat just so it's easier for me to see what the heck is going on. It's easier on this monitor, so forgive the chat thing. And I know it's light mode, and I'm confused about why it's in light mode, but whatever. Whatever. I can't do stuff. It's hard for me. Okay. Okay. Is there a way to fix the crackling artifacts when recording ADR and Fairlight? Seems to have been an issue for quite some years. Looking at the forums, not very familiar with that. You might ask Jason Yadlovsky. He might know about that. Is it possible to track a video for a mask in Fusion so that the mask moves with the video? Yeah. So like, are you talking about like if you were wanting to like roto something? I'm gonna have to ask all these like questions and then I won't be able to actually scroll down. I'm gonna have to prioritize down here, guys. Sorry, this is like faster than it usually is. Can you rotoscope with the free version? Yes, you can. How easy is it to create your own split screen film mats in Fusion? Pretty easy. You would just be animating. The oh my goodness. Okay. You just be animating shapes basically. Just curious about how you deal with lag while editing. Often can't actually see how the sequence will look until I've exported and rendered my file. Ooh, I've definitely been there. The best way to deal with that is to make proxies. Find some kind of proxy that will work on your system and take the time and make the proxies, because even if it takes like an hour to render proxies, it's going to save you time on the back end, especially if it's a decent sized project, you know. Check my comment in the community post about the relative dynamic zoom effect. I wasn't able to look up exactly what that is. What is the name of that again? Can you make 60 frames per second video look like 144? You could with something like optical flow. You can do that a little bit. Any plans for Resolve Con version 2? Stay tuned. Stay tuned. All right. Looks like you made a video about tracking for text, but you can't do it the same way with a mask. Okay, why don't we jump into that? Because I bet that'll be helpful. I know there's a lot of people that are confused about tracking and stuff. It works the exact same way, though. It works the same way. I actually did in the latest video about like the pigeon, like tracking the pigeon. I made a mask on the pigeon and tracked it. What's a proxy? A proxy is like a low resolution, easier to playback version of the video that you have. And so you can, I'll show you guys, this is cool. So in Resolve, you can like go up here and right click on a piece of media and go down and say generate proxy media. And what that will do is render a lower res version of this movie with the same like aspect ratio and the same, well, that's not necessarily the same aspect ratio, but it's basically, it's a lower quality version that is easier to play back, and it will switch it out automatically and link it in your sequence. And then you can edit and then you can switch it back, and you don't have to like go through and file manage or anything like that. It does it all for you. It's really, really good. It's like insanely smooth. Gosh, I keep hitting the wrong thing. I usually have my camera on a different layer in OBS. Yes, it was business casual channel. Okay, the dynamic zoom one. Okay, let me look at that real quick. If you'd be into seeing a tracking tutorial or a little tracking demo right now, let me know in the chat. Business casual YouTube. Let's see. Let's make sure this is muted. Oh. Yeah, okay, I know what you're doing. So that's like the parallax thing. That's groundbreaking. Oh, dude, it's so good. It's so good. The proxies thing is so amazing. Seriously good. All right. What are the limitations in Fusion versus Nuke? I haven't used Nuke a lot, so I can't really speak to that. I know it does very similar things. And you can get really crazy with Fusion. Really, really crazy, just like you could with Nuke. Proxy, basically, you have the free version of lower speed computer. Yeah, basically. Yeah. Can Fusion replace After Effects? I was looking to learn VFX. Should I learn After Effects or Fusion? If you're into Resolve, I would learn Fusion. Although they do, like, if you learn After Effects, a lot of the concepts will go over to Fusion. I started on After Effects. I was a super After Effects nerd for a while. And then switched over to Fusion. So there are a little bit more awkward things with Fusion sometimes, but it depends on what you're doing. Really depends on what you're doing. I have millions of questions, but I just want to tell you you're awesome. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Thank you. I'm literally outside smoking while my footage proxies. I love this program. Yes! That would be nice for a tracking review. Okay. Awesome. Let's see. What else? Do you have a recommendation for a Windows laptop for DaVinci editing 4K, mainly Sony 4K footage? As good a one as you can get. Like a high-end gaming laptop. That's what I would do. Like an MSI, like $1,000-ish laptop would probably do pretty well. Somewhere in there. Has to have a good graphics card. Good graphics card. Lots of RAM. Basically as good as you can afford. I wouldn't go less than like 16 gigs of RAM these days. I wouldn't do less than like a 4 gig graphics card. Unless you're doing an M1 Mac. They can somehow make all that craziness work. I don't understand any of that, but that does a pretty good job. Why is it the clips always shrink when you increase clip speed? Because it's taking all of the frames and it's playing them back faster, and so it runs out of frames. So it has to shrink. I switched from Resolve to Premiere around a month ago. I'm using Mac and Windows on one database, and my Fusion comps don't work across them both. It's blank on the other. Ooh. I'm not sure. I think that you should be able to, Daniel, you should be able to like reconnect your media, like or maybe like replace them. It's a pain, but that would be a workaround probably. Would love to know how the different tracking features are used when planar tracker is used over regular tracking. Okay, so it sounds like getting into some tracking would be a good move. Okay. Fairlight versus Audacity. Fairlight is way beyond the abilities. Well, I wouldn't say that. Audacity can do a lot of stuff, a lot. But I would say Fairlight is more robust than Audacity, for sure. How come there are 3 dots under the nodes, usually 2? That means that you have an external monitor. And so the 3rd dot would be like your external monitor. Hey, thank you, Uwa. I appreciate that. How would you start to be familiar with Fusion? If you guys want to look into some Fusion, okay, so this is going to be, I think maybe we'll have to do a poll because there's just so many, so much. But let's go into Fusion. Can you provide a title pack for free? I think that we have. Actually, I don't know if we have like a pack of titles for free. We do have some that are cheaper for ground control, but there are a lot of free title packs out there. Fairlight's got some amazing features which you may not have in Audacity. Yeah, I totally agree. Fast head shaking. Are you talking like when the head shakes back and forth and it's like blurry and you're like almost glitching. That would be a whole tutorial. How to add subtitle that suits with the gaming montage. Are you talking about like graphic, like text, like fancy text, not just a subtitle? Color page versus Photoshop and GIMP. They're different kind of things. Some of the things that the color page can do, or some of the things that Photoshop can do is best in the color page. Some things would be better in Fusion. I've learned literally everything I know from your channel, now comfortably making movies and YouTube content. That's so awesome. Hey, Playtax, aka Martha, I hope you have a really good day. What's your opinion on templates versus presets from websites like Motion Array? I think they're great. I would totally use those if they're right for the project. Yeah. DaVinci or Premiere Pro, which is better? Are you seriously on my channel asking that? What's going on? Resolve is better in my opinion. But it's all dependent on what you're doing and what you like, you know? Video would be nice. They disintegrate an image into different elements and they move them relatively. Honestly, it's quite subtle. Oh, yeah. Huh. Can you explain how you make that cool outline of your head in the thumbnails? Dude, I learned so much from your channel. Yeah, that's in like Photoshop, basically. But we can, I mean, I can show you kind of how to do that. I actually have a tutorial on that, on making a thumbnail in Resolve for that. Why people are more pro with After Effects, though Fusion is much better. After Effects is more accessible. It's a little bit easier to understand. It's been around for a long time. It's been the standard for a really long time. Yeah. Can Fusion do map animations like Vox? I'm not sure what Vox is, but you can basically do anything you want in Fusion. It's really, really open. Best editor for gaming? Editors are very similar. Whatever editor you're familiar with. I like Resolve just because it's integrated with all the other stuff, right? You're welcome, Bellafix. I'm glad you're here. What's the meaning of life? To love people well. That's my opinion. To love well. That's the meaning of life. Okay, let's just this is crazy. You guys are amazing. How do you deal with carpal tunnel when editing? I just get it and then suffer for it when I'm older. Okay, so let's take a look at some tracking, shall we? Let's get into this and do some hands-on stuff. So let's find, I think I want to find, let's look at this one, because this might be a little easier. Some people were asking me about how to, like, several things with tracking, okay? There's 3 basic kinds of tracking you can do in Resolve. So you can do a point track, you can do a planar track, or you can do a 3D track. A lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time, you can get away with not doing a 3D track. It depends on what you're doing. If you're trying to have something like floating through the air and you're match moving a camera, you probably have to do a 3D track, but not always. You can sometimes get away with a planar track. And then a point track is just one point that you're like attaching something to a specific point. And a planar track is usually something where you're going to have some kind of perspective, or you want to like replace a sign or something like that. Okay. Thank you, Miles. Can you give me an activation key? No. That'd be great. Do you know a plugin that brings pixel assets ready to use in the timeline? No, that would be great though. I got a speed editor and it makes me want a full-size editing keyboard. Yeah, the editing keyboard's pretty cool. I really like it. If you have a speed editor though, I probably wouldn't go for the editing keyboard. I feel like the speed editor is a little bit more well thought out. Yep. How do you escape perfectionism and improve at the same time? Big thing is calling it done at 80%. Calling it almost perfect. That's one thing. Okay, I'm trying to bounce back and forth and kind of do this a little bit. So a couple examples of tracking. Let's say we want to attach something to this little part right here. Like we want to do like a piece of text that's pointing to it, like this is the chimney, right? So we could have something like, I don't even know how to spell chimney. I'm gonna spell it chimney. This is the chimney. Okay, the chimney goes right there. And if we want this to attach to this, then we'd use something like a point tracker. Okay, so what I'll do is for our media one, I'll hit Control Spacebar. Oop, is that right? Yep. Control Spacebar, and I just type track, and we'll just load in a tracker. Okay. So now we have the tracker, and we want to track one point, and we just have this little tracker point thing here. I can grab this upper left little square thing, and the inside of this is what it's going to look for. And so maybe we'll just put it on this little thing. And the outside of this is where it's going to look for it. So we want those both to be basically as small as we can get. So we'll do something like this. And now we should be able to track this forward. All right. And let's go back to kind of where we were and track this backward. There we go. And now we have this tracker stuck to this little part. Okay. Then what we can do is in our tracker node, we can, let's see, I'll hide my camera for a second. We can go over here to operation, and under operation, let's say match move. And what that's going to do is just stick whatever we want to stick to this. It'll stick it to it. So let's take this text and put this text into our green input of our tracker 1. And now, because of some fancy things, it moves around a little bit, but we can put this here. And now when we move this back and forth, it's going to stick right to that chimney. Okay. See how it moves along with it? So that's how like a point tracker works. Okay. Does that make sense? Are we cool so far? Now a planar tracker, let's actually load up a different thing here. Let's go with the green screen. Sure. I'll just make it easy on us because we're doing this live. Okay. A planar tracker is a lot better for something like this, where we want to kind of corner pin something. We want to put the corner of something right where the corners should be, and it kind of moves around in perspective, right? So at that point, we wouldn't just grab a point, we'd grab a area like this. And this isn't really, it's not an exact planar tracker. It's actually just tracking a bunch of points inside of this area, and then it's doing some fancy math to kind of figure out how it works. It's not really tracking the plane itself. I don't know if that matters to anybody, but it's kind of important to know that. So over here, I'll close this thing. I'll hit set for our reference time, and then we will track forward, and that should track the whole screen. I'll go back to go and track backwards, and that'll track the whole screen like that. And now we've tracked multiple different points inside of this area, and it's using fancy math to figure out where everything is supposed to go. So if we had something like, I'll just use a background for now, like a blue background, just because I have it available. If we wanted to corner pin this blue background and make it look like she had a blue screen of death, it's not quite the right color for a blue screen of death, but you get it. Then we can go over here to operation mode, corner pin, and we can set these little corners to be right where we want them to be, like in real life, right? So the corners of our screen happen right here, and I'm just gonna very quickly line those up. Normally you would zoom in and make sure those are perfect. And then we take our background and connect it to our planar tracker. And there we have our solid color there. And it tracks along with the footage, and it also moves around in perspective. And so it looks like it's really stuck to that screen. So that's what we'd use like a planar tracker for. Does that make sense? It's cool, right? And then a 3D tracker, which honestly I haven't played with a lot because I haven't had a ton of use for it. I haven't had a ton of projects that I really need to use it for. And so I'm just not that familiar with it. So I'm not confident I could do a great job of showing you that live. But basically it tracks a bunch of points in the scene, and then it figures out the camera information from that. And it's really cool, but it's kind of tricky to get to work right. So it's kind of like, if you can't do either of these tracks, you might consider doing the 3D track, but I would shy away from it if you don't need to. And most of the time, I don't need to. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So let's, oh gosh, I did it again. I just got to move that up here. Get out of here, standby. Okay. So I hope that helps anybody who's a little bit confused about the tracking stuff. Did that help? Again, you guys will probably have to repeat stuff in the chat because I just miss it when I'm taking care of other stuff. I wish I knew DaVinci this good. It's just time, man. It's just time and messing with it. I open up Resolve and play with it like every day, you know? What advice would you give to a beginner who is just starting their career as a video editor? This I can help with. What kind of videos do you want to edit? What kind of stuff are you interested in? Let me know. Planar tracker is used when you're needing to track perspectives that move both X, Y rotation perspective. Yes. And you can decide like what kind of motion you want, and you generally pick the least complicated motion you can. Okay. You keep asking Premiere Pro or DaVinci. I'm a DaVinci Resolve channel, man. What do you expect me to say? No, I think everybody should do Premiere Pro. It's much better. Advice for WebM formats, best way to preserve alpha and transparency. I'm not sure on that. I know Handbrake is really good for WebM. I would Google that, but I haven't done a whole lot of that. Any resources you can point me to? I can talk good. Any resources you can point me towards on learning how to edit and publish HDR videos to YouTube? Full workflow might be a cool video for you, as there isn't a good one already. I agree that there isn't a cool one already, and I'm not very familiar with it, so it's hard for me to teach on it. Please teach the channel mixer and color grading. Ooh, okay. I know enough about that to realize why it's cool, but I haven't played with it enough to give you any kind of really great wisdom on that. I don't really use it, but it is really cool for making certain effects and stuff. Why do I like DaVinci over Premiere? Are you a Premiere user? Like, is that why you're asking? How do I get my clips? Most of my clips are from ArtGrid. Which, by the way, if you sign up with my link, you get 2 months free. And I get a little bit of money. So that's kind of cool. We all win. Okay, let's see. Who asked me about stuff? So you're a Premiere Pro user. What do you like about Premiere? Let's go with that, and then we can talk about that. Can you show animation workflow? Are you talking about like keyframes, like animating things? Or are you talking about like a cartoon? Would you recommend for editors coming over from the cut to DaVinci Resolve 17 who used a keyword workflow to organize clips originally? Wow. That's a big question. What approach would I recommend for editors? Oh, from like Final Cut? Is that what you're talking about? I was thinking cut page for a second. It's very user friendly. Okay. I think Resolve's pretty user friendly. If you're doing the same things that you would do in Premiere, I think Resolve is just as user friendly, if not more. That's one thing. So we can talk about that here in a minute. Gosh, I'm sorry guys. It's really hard for me to keep up with everybody. It's going really quick. So I'm gonna try and get to everything that I can see. But again, it's nothing personal if I don't. So somebody was asking me about advice for new editors, and I asked what kind of video do you edit, and who was that? I can't even keep track of it. What's the setting of DaVinci Resolve to export original quality in Proxy? That is in your system settings, I believe. What do you think I'm missing using the Shuttle Pro V2 versus plus Stream Deck versus BMD Speed Editor or Editor keyboard? Oh, I see. Like you're using the Shuttle Pro and a Stream Deck versus a Speed Editor or Editor keyboard. You can do a lot of that, honestly. I really do like the Speed Editor, but it's mostly good for the cut page, in my opinion. I'd say you can probably do a wider variety of stuff with the Stream Deck. Is Daria Fissoon coming back anytime soon? Maybe. I talked with her the other day. Not specifically about coming on the channel, but I would love to have her on. She is great. Okay. Man, I'm going to need some help doing this. Danjo, are you around? How do I get subtitles going for two people at the same time, like one person taking over the other person in dialogue? Oh, talking over the other person in dialogue? Oh, man. Gosh, I'm not sure. I would probably... Dan, hey, can you help mod and find some... Can you guys help mod and find some questions for me? Because it's like 1,000,000 miles an hour. That would be really great. I'm like missing every person's question. So we're gonna hey Danjo, can you help me wrangle some questions here? Because I feel like I'm missing everybody's question. Could we do some kind of system for that? We should have prepared, but I didn't expect it to be this crazy. So we'll try and make this a little better experience for us here. Can we do like a slow chat? Is there something like that? Yeah. Okay, hey, don't spam it. That's not cool. That's not cool. Don't spam. Especially in the yelling way. That's a jerk move. Don't. All right? No worries. I know you're excited. Okay. Is there a way to save an effect I create on the video? Okay. So that I can use it again in another project without having to redo all the settings every time. Yeah, you can. It depends on what the settings are. You can put something in a power bin, and I forget exactly how that works, but there are ways to do that. Text in a separate video track above this subtitle one. Yeah, the subtitle thing, like if you're talking about like legit subtitles, like a subtitle track, I think you can do multiple tracks. I'm pretty sure. And that'd be the way to go. When I make a color contrast adjustments and the scopes view the change, why doesn't the histogram in the curves window also change? I can answer that really quickly, actually. So here in the curves window, oh yeah, you should probably actually see this. So here in the curves window, there's an option right here, these three little dots. Under histograms, they're set to input. And so when you're adjusting things in that node, it's not going to show you the change. But if you go to output, it will. So now when I move stuff around, it will move that histogram for the curves. Yay, look, I successfully answered a question. Yay. Make a video of all the missed questions. That's not a bad idea. I definitely have enough to cover for about a year here. Okay. All right, so let's see. What course do you have in the works for release next? I don't know if I should tell you. I don't know if it's a secret. I think it's maybe a secret. But I'm going to tell you that you will really like it. How did you do that effect live? The zoom in thing? It's a utility called Glassbrick, I think. Can that be another video source? Absolutely, that could be another video source. My audio isn't working no matter what I do. How can I fix it? A couple things to check for your audio is make sure that you have this on, this mute, which is in every page. Make sure that's a thing. You can also go to, like in Fairlight, make sure you go to Fairlight. I haven't been here for a while. Patch input output, is that what it is? Make sure that your audio outputs are set to like your actual speakers, because sometimes they could be set to like some weird audio driver. That happens a lot. Make sure that if you're in Windows, that your system audio is set right. If you're in Mac, same thing. Make sure your system audio is set right. That happens a lot, that kind of stuff. I can't change the chat settings. Sent you a link in Discord. Okay. Hot second, everybody. Hot second. See if I can help here. Do. Sorry guys, just a minute. Wonder if there's like, I'm pretty sure there's a way I can do this. I don't know. We usually stream on Twitch and it's really easy. So, click live chat settings, live chat, slow mode, stream settings. Why isn't it showing me stuff? Oh, it's down here. Dude, it's just like not there. I don't know why they crazy. Sorry, everybody. Top right, edit live chat, enable live chat. Oh, edit. Okay, I know what's up. I know what's up. Maybe. Sorry, everybody. There we go. Yes. There. Goodness. How about... Let's do that. Okay. Okay, I'm pretty sure this will help. Okay, slow mode is on. That's wild that we have to turn on slow mode. Thank you, everybody, for being here. You are awesome. This will hopefully help me actually do something helpful here. Wild. Okay. Let me get my other stuff set up. Yay. Everybody chill. Sometimes I want... Okay, so if I didn't answer your thing, feel free to post it after the slow mode on thing, and we will try and be reasonable people here. Do I have a Fusion only advanced course? No, we are maybe working on one, maybe. Sometimes I want to put a transition between two clips, but it doesn't allow me, only the left or right clip. Am I doing something wrong? The reason for that, let me show you. The reason for that is because you don't have enough media So like this clip is only this long. And if I have like a clip that is, let's just go with like shorter like this, and I try to put a transition on there like this, it will only allow me, what's wrong? It'll only allow me to put it on one side like that. See? And that's because I don't have a handle here. If I were to make this shorter to where we still have media there in pretend land, and then I put this on, see, it will bridge across it. It's because you don't have the media to do it. And it doesn't want to like do something weird like duplicate the frames or something. Does that make sense? Okay. Is there a trick for sound when doing slow-mo? The sound seems weird when changing clip speed. Yeah, I haven't looked into that a lot. It is kind of tricky, and I hear a lot of people complaining about that. You might consider like alt dragging a clip and then adjusting the sound separate from the video, because yeah, I think it acts kind of weird in the edit page when you're doing that. If I tried the speed editor, what do you think about it? I do have a review on the speed editor on my channel. Speed editor is pretty cool. I really like it a lot. I don't use it a ton, just because I'm not usually cutting things in the cut page. A lot of the things that I'm doing are not really what the cut page is designed for. The cut page is really good for really quick vlogs, things like news stories and things like that. Yeah. Okay. Do you know why Resolve needs to trim some clips before applying transitions and how to fix it? That's why. Basically what I just said is pretty much why. Any way to cut out pauses from live streams? There are tools that can do that. We've looked into them a little bit. I haven't found a really, really great tool. There is one called, what's it called? Descript, DESCRIPT. Which is a really amazing program. That's the best one I found. You can cut out pauses, you can cut out ums, and it also converts your whole video to text, and you can edit your video by editing the text of the video, and it will like chop it up. It's really cool. I would love to see something like that, like integrated into Resolve. That'd be so awesome. Okay. How do you create a multi-cam clip if you have clips without sound sync? Can you align them manually? Yes, you can. Sound sync is the easiest way to do it. So if you're gonna shoot something, try and record sound. But you can, like in the cut page, let's say you have like multiple different clips here and they don't have sound sync. These aren't going to sync, but we can right click. Is it right click? I think it might just be, yeah, we click on this little button up here to sync them, and you can hit, I mean, you can kind of try any of these. I'm pretty sure, like you could do an input sync, like it will just basically line everything up by the endpoint, hit sync, and then you can take these and you can, you should be able to, I think you can take these and move them around somehow. I want to say that's a thing, but I'm not sure exactly how that works. But there's a way to do that where you can like unlock this and basically save your sync like that. You can also, what this will do is this will make a multicam. You can basically drag this down and make a multicam sequence, and then you can adjust it in the multicam. That might be a better way to do it actually, is you can create a new multicam clip. Like you could put all of these, like the 3 things that you want to sync, you can put them into a bin. So, or you can create a new multicam clip using selected clips, right? And hit create. And then wherever your multicam clip is, which I think is, let's see, where is it? Oh boy. You're getting me on the spot here. But anyway, you can move that with a, yeah. So you can open this up in the timeline and like unlock these, and you can adjust the sync by like manually sync them, and then you can use this as a multicam and nest that in another sequence and do it just like you would, but you just have to manually sync them up. So that's a way to do that. It seems like you can even kind of do this. No, that's not right. I was thinking something else. Yeah, that's basically how you could do that. I hope that helps. I can't make my image expand in the color page. I can move the node left and right, but not up and down. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Can you tell me what you mean by that? Can I give myself a beard in Fusion? You could, yep. Why do I not see audio waveforms in the Fairlight occasionally? I've tried messing with levels and zooming and it doesn't seem to work. Sometimes it's because it just hasn't thought about the media yet. Like it hasn't been on like in the app long enough, and then sometimes it's just a bug and it just doesn't show up. I figured out what kind of video I like to edit. Okay, yeah, you're the one that was asking about it. Okay. I like to edit videos. I was first introduced to DaVinci Resolve from you, so if you could advise or suggest something. Okay, so you don't really know what kind of video you like. Well, what kind of things are you interested in? You know, like when you're talking about video, are you talking about like YouTube videos? Are you talking about films? Are you talking about gaming videos? Like, because those are they're sort of different, and I think it's more helpful to kind of aim for where you want versus just trying to learn everything all at once. You know what I mean? Because you're going to pick up on more things, but if you have like a direction to go, I think it's really helpful. I've tried everything to fix my audio, even things outside of DaVinci Resolve. I've watched videos, and even the thing you already showed me didn't work. Gosh, I don't know. I would ask Blackmagic. I would get on their support forum because I'm not sure. What's better option as an editor or creator? Only YouTube or YouTube and a freelancing job? Ooh, I would not recommend relying on YouTube for your full-time income. I don't think, like, unless you have a massive channel, like bigger than my channel, I would not recommend that. I would have something else to have your income. I edited a real-time multicam theatrical piece with the speed editor and edit page. Worked like a charm. Yeah, so like multicam is actually pretty cool with the speed editor. It's really nice. There is a way to hide the icon for the cut page. You can go up to workspace and this here where it says show page, you can just uncheck these. You can do that. Can you tell me how to do a Bezier adjust velocity of keyframes in Resolve? The best way to do that is in Fusion. The best way to do that is in the graph editor in Fusion, or I call it the graph editor. It's called the spline editor. It's the graph editor in After Effects. But yeah, so if you have like your text coming in here, right? And it starts off like this. Right? It starts over here and then it comes in here like this. Then you can have your spline editor, and this thing is really great. So you can like flatten out the tangents there, like by hitting F. You can change these all around. You can hold shift and move this back and forth. It's really, really great. That's what I would recommend. You can do sort of a version of that in the edit page, but it's real jank. It doesn't work very well. Is this Grade School 2.0? Man, no. I love Grade School. It's a great place. Colin Kelly, guys, he's a genius. All right, let's see if I can see what's going on here. So you guys can see my chat, so you can see how confused I am. Okay, is it possible to enable, disable a mask through part of a clip instead of an entire clip? Oh, yeah. Are you talking about like in the edit page or the Fusion page, Paulo? How do you subtitle for gaming videos easily without manually typing everything? I think you kind of have to manually type everything in Resolve unless you have a service that you like run it through first. I would. It almost seems like they have something like that, like because it seems so obvious that there should be an automatic subtitle thing. Maybe they're working on that. Maybe they already have that and I totally forgot about it. Very possible. What did I do to make the preview and the edit cut page play in slow motion, and what do I do about it? A way to fix that is hold down K and hit L. And that usually fixes that. Because that's happened before. But you should be able to like hit L and J to kind of like get it going normal speed again if you mess with it. I need to create and export a LUT for my camera. Let's look how, please. Ooh, sure. We could do that. Do you guys want to get into a LUT thing? Best way to make shapes? Are you talking about like in Fusion? There are a lot of third-party resources in place like Storyblocks. Is there a similar site you recommend for it with DaVinci assets? Are you talking about like titles and stuff and templates, Sean? Hey, thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. Victim of his own success. I know. If videos I import have the same name but a different number or something on it, DaVinci merges the clips as one. Is there a way to turn that off? Yes. So in the edit page, or sorry, in the media page, this it honestly is kind of hit and miss, and there might be something I'm missing here. But what I like to do is if I'm going to go to like import media. So like, let's say, I think I have like, yeah. So here I have a render and it's putting it all in a sequence because it's numbered. You can, I believe it's, yeah, up here in these three dots, frame display mode, you can switch it to individual. And it will show you all of the individual ones. Or you can switch it to sequence, and it'll show you just that. I'm pretty sure you can only do that in the media browser, in the media pool. And I think when you just import something from like the file, it kind of does an auto thing, and it sometimes does it and sometimes doesn't. And it's really, I don't know. I've had mixed things with that. Titles, template intros, and those things. Yeah, I know there are quite a few templates on what's it called? On like Motion Array and stuff. I haven't tried them. I don't know how good they are. I would assume they're probably pretty good. There are also, we have some at Ground Control. But it depends on what you're doing. That's the thing with templates, is like it has to really fit with what you're doing. So any templates that we make at Ground Control are designed to be like really not generic, but applicable to a wide variety of projects, right? So if you're looking for something really fancy that's like really specific, a look around Motion Array would probably be a good move. How do you update composition of edit template without making a new macro? Ooh, I think you have to make a new macro, I'm pretty sure. Or you can, okay, so you can, in Fusion, you can go to Fusion and go to macro editor, and you should be able to open up a macro and change it. So you can do that. But then you have to like save it. You do have to save it over itself or save a new one. I hope that helps. Okay, can anybody tell me if there's a way which I can record like a Zoom meeting separately in OBS and use my PC while recording that Zoom meeting in the background? You can in OBS if you do a window capture, but I don't think it likes window capture with Zoom for some reason, which is always a problem. But that's how you would generally do that, is do a window capture. The best way to do it is just if you have two if you have 2 screens. That's what I would do. Okay. Can you make a tutorial video like all the essential edits for gaming videos, like zooming and adding GIF assets? Yeah, I haven't made one like that, but a lot of that is, yeah, some kind of basic editing stuff. I don't know. People have been asking a lot about like the really basic stuff lately, and it's hard because I feel like there are a lot of you that want this really advanced stuff, like, you know, 50 nodes in Fusion, right? And there's a lot of people that are like, I literally am overwhelmed by the edit page, you know? So it's hard. It's hard to like decide which way to go, you know? Okay. Will the GPU full error cause render issues while exporting? It could for sure. It could for sure. Yeah. I would make sure that you're only running Resolve. I would also restart. I would update your video drivers, and I would update Resolve. I would update Windows. All of that would help. Yeah, you're welcome, Amit. How many people on your team to produce one of your typical videos, and how long? It's 3 people. It's me and the editor and somebody doing thumbnails and that kind of thing. So it depends on the video. Some videos take a whole week. Some videos are like 2 hours. It depends. Use Filmora? Yeah, Filmora is cool. Okay. You can use the auto transcribe tool in Premiere, export the SRT and bring in DaVinci. Yeah, you could do that. Why can some Fusion effects be toggled off but other ones not? There are some that stop the clip from showing, others then, when turned off, restore the clip to the original state. I would assume that that's because those different various clips, like, okay, so the merge, right? Like a merge, if you turn a merge off, it's going to turn off this text, right? Because the text only appears because of the merge, right? Same thing. I think that's the main thing. Like a tracker would probably do that. Anything that kind of controls something being put over something else. Another thing might be like a mat control. Anything that like, yeah, controls how 2 different things interact will generally do that. But it's because when you turn this off, when you turn this merge off, what it's doing is stopping whatever the node is doing. It's not, it's not really like the strength of it. It's just like deciding whether this node actually does it or not, you know? So like if I turn off text 1, that's going to turn it off, right? Because what this node is doing is saying render text 1. What merge is doing is saying render text 1 over this background. So if it stops doing that, it's just going to show the background. Whereas if we have blur, a blur, it's not going to decide whether the background appears or not. It's just going to decide whether to blur it or not, because that's the only thing that node is doing. Does that make sense? I hope that helps. Have I ever done tutorials for other editing softwares? Yeah, I actually did a series for After Effects, and I did a series for Premiere back in the day. But that was before I really liked Resolve. Any flash discounts for DaVinci Resolve end-to-end for live stream viewers? Ooh. No, we don't have one right now. We do have a discount on our titles though. If you use titles 25, you can actually get the Fusion Titles Volume 2 for $25 off, which is pretty cool. Hi from South Africa. Okay, clarify my question. Compare digital video effects. Oh, DaVinci. Okay, to picture-in-picture. I can turn off and see the clip. I can turn off. The clip is broken. I'm not sure exactly why that is. I don't know. Because I'm not familiar with that. Are you talking about like an open effects picture-in-picture? Is that what you're talking about? Can you explain the dynamic range of, or why flat videos like S-Log are better for color grading when compared to standard videos? Yeah. Oh, and we got to talk about LUTs too. So let's talk about both of those things. All right. So we'll use Lady Unhappy at the Skate Park for this one. So here's the deal. This actually isn't that great of a example. Let's actually use, maybe we'll use this one. Okay. So this is a clip shot in log, and really the idea is when you shoot in log, what happens is it's basically squishing more of the image down into the range that it can actually record, right? So you can think of it sort of like this. If you have a tent and the tent is supposed to fit into your car, the tent is bigger than your car, and so you can't just put the tent in while it is all set up. So you have to kind of squish it down, right? So you have to like take it apart, roll it up, put it in its bag or whatever, and put it in your car to go camping. This is basically what it's doing with colors. And so it's really taking this whole image that might look, let's do this right here. It might look something like this. Bear with me. So let's say this is what this looks like in real life. Okay, this is how you shot it. Well, this if you were to shoot it like this, what this is really doing is taking like this white piece right here. It's just making everything white. There's no detail here in the desk at all. But really, if you shot it like this isn't the best example, but like you can see how some of this is really white, but then like the way that we actually shot it, there is a little bit more detail there. Okay. And so what it's really doing is taking a lot of those things that would be basically made, those tones that would be kind of clipped and made like pure white or pure black, and it is squishing them down so that there is information there still. And so then what happens is, because it's so squished down, when you open it up on your monitor, it looks gray and flat because everything's kind of squished, right? And then what's good is you can take some, you can basically choose which details to throw away and which details to keep, and kind of how to treat your image in a higher quality way later, because you have all of that information and you can kind of make that choice later. Whereas if you shot it like this, let's say, and this is actually pretty good, like it might be something more like this, let's say, right? If you shot it like this, well, then some of those details are gone. You know, if you were coming at an image in that way. And so like if you want to bring back some of the detail there, you just can't because it's gone. Whereas when you shoot log, you still have more of that detail. It's not magic, like you can't get like way more detail, but you can actually recover quite a bit if you shoot it right. So I hope that's helpful. I hope that makes sense. Do I have a bundle package to buy all the training courses? Not at this point, no. Can you edit Filmic Pro log footages look good? I haven't done a whole lot of that, but a lot of people have been asking about it, and I'm sure we're going to cover that here pretty quick. Yeah. What's up, RV Addict? Good to see you. Worth every penny. I don't think I'd be editing this level. Hey, thank you so much. You're awesome. Thank you. How can I move primaries precisely? I have a mouse and keyboard. Well, It's difficult with the mouse and keyboard. What I like to do, what you can do is, I'm trying to think if you can set the, I don't think you can set the sensitivity of these. You can only set the sensitivity of a surface. But what I like to do, okay, actually now that I think of it, the best way to do it is, so if you're grabbing this and you feel like it just goes way too crazy, right? You're like, oh, it's way too blue. You can actually mouse over these sliders down here and really, really tweak them, like really subtly, these red and green little sliders. And you can adjust those without, you know, with very, very fine control. So you could do something like that. You can also switch over. A lot of people like the color bars, and you can move these up and down like that. And that helps a little bit. But that is definitely the major advantage of a color surface, you know, is you can really get that fine control, you know. I subscribe to Motion Array and I'm lost on how to install templates, titles, transitions, effects, slideshows, and what the difference is regarding how to use them all. Yeah. That's the problem with those kind of sites, you know, is sometimes they don't really tell you how to do all that. Generally, the newer ones, they have a .drfx, and you just double click on it and it will install and it's great. But before that, you had to kind of put things in a certain folder. And if you didn't put it in the right folder, it didn't work. And then sometimes like they would update Resolve and the folder would move. It's very annoying. It's very annoying. Okay, so I said that we would get into how to make a LUT here. The highest quality way to do it is use a color transform. If you're wanting to do like a camera LUT, I would use a color transform. If you guys don't know what that is, I've made a couple videos on it so far, but basically what it does is it makes your colors normal. It goes from log to normal. And then what you can do is you can go to your clips down here in the color page, right click and say generate LUT, and you can pick one of these cubes. So like 65 point cube would be great. Click on that, and then you can export that to wherever you want. And if your camera can read a cube, then it should be able to use that. So that's basically how you would do it these days. Am I self-taught? If you call learning from a lot of tutorials and training and learning on the job self-taught, then yes. Do I do YouTube as something on the side, or do you have another job? So this is like it's about half of what I do. I do a lot of work for a nonprofit called Heart Support. We talk to people about mental health stuff. So my time's basically evenly split between Heart Support and our company, which is Release the Hounds Studios. And so a lot of what we do as a company has to do with tutorials and training and YouTube and stuff like that. So there you go. In Vegas, they have a velocity feature change to change the speed of the clip. Is there a feature like that in DaVinci? Yes. So if you want to make a clip faster, you can right click on it and say retime controls. You can also hit Control R. And now you can change the speed with this little drop down. There's all kinds of different things you can do. You can also just grab the edge of it and speed it up like this. You can add a speed point, which is really neat. Add a speed point here, then like move your playhead, add another speed point, and you can kind of compress these like this. And so it goes faster and then slower. And that's a really nice way to do it. And so it's hard to tell on this one, but you can go faster and slower like that. So that's great for like sports and stuff. Super cool. More color, what is Rec 706? Or do you mean Rec 709? Not picking hairs here, but GIF is pronounced GIF, not spoken with a hard G, my friend. You are objectively wrong. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sean Jones. I appreciate that. How do I mask and track the famous Peepo's hand clip screen? That's a question we're all asking. Hello, great man, Casey. I don't have questions. Just came to say you're a great man. Thank you. That's really nice of you. How do you make nightcore or slowed and reverb on DaVinci? Are you talking about like slowing down music and stuff? You would have to do that in Fairlight, which I haven't actually tried to do that really, so I don't think I could really make that work. Why Casey Keys at Hard Support? It was my attempt in kind of separating my personal life a little bit, but it didn't really work. So there we go. You also find Fusion performance to be extremely slow, especially with third-party plugins. Yeah, it's a real performance hog. I know that they are working to improve that all the time. So it's definitely better than it was. Definitely getting better. Not trying to skip comments, guys. Not trying to be that. There's a lot. Even in slow mode, there's a lot here. You guys are seeing me. Look at this. Look at all this stuff. Come on, man. I meant when you create a mask using the window tool on the color page to blur an area of the video, is it possible to enable and disable the mask throughout part of the clip instead of the entire clip? Create a mask using the window tool on the color page to blur an area of the video. Is it possible? Yes. Yeah, that's possible. So check this out. This is really easy, actually. So like, let's say we want to blur her face for just the first part of this, right? Okay, I'm gonna just give us something better to look at here. Okay, so I'm committing a felony right now. All right. Okay, but we'll get like sort of a normalized image here. Okay. So let's say we want to blur her face. Okay. And we want to do it for part of the clip for whatever reason. You would do this on something, you obviously wouldn't do it like this, right? But we're gonna blur it, blur her face like that. And let's say we want this to happen just at the beginning of the clip. Well, the easiest way to do this is just to keyframe this, this node, keyframe the key of it, the key output. So this is basically like the strength of the node, okay? So what we can do is go over to our keyframes panel, and under corrector 2, this is the second corrector. Under corrector 2, we can click on this little diamond, and when that turns red, that means that we're on automatic keyframe. Basically, anything that we touch or change is going to add a keyframe right where we're at, okay? So I'm going to take the gain and just make that 1. I just kind of wiggled that, and so it added a keyframe. Now, whenever we want this to kind of fade out, or if we just want it to turn off, we can go 1 frame to the left. Oops, I hit the wrong baton. We can go like 1 frame to the left, and just where, okay, I guess if we want it to turn it off, we'll go 1 frame to the right and turn this gain all the way down. So now we have blur at the beginning, and then it turns off. That makes sense? And you can keyframe like anything in the color palettes with this little trick. You just click on automatic keyframe and then just touch whatever you want to animate. And if you expand this down, you can see all the different things that it's looking at. And so for some reason, this is called defocus. Even though it's key output gain, it's called defocus. Don't know why, but that's where it puts those keyframes. And we can adjust that. We could have this fade out over time and be less and less blurry, right? So now this would kind of just stop being so blurry over time. That makes sense? Okay. I'm going to have to just skip down so I'm at least talking to the people that are here. So if I skipped your thing, please repost it in a nice way. That would be great. Is there, or will there be something that Resolve can do some beat detection? I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't think there is a way to do that right now. I'd just like to thank you for all you do on YouTube. You taught me so much and convinced me to use Resolve primarily. That's so awesome, Ryan. Hey, thank you. Thanks, Unbounded. Appreciate that. How can we organize music we download and then search DaVinci Resolve through a growing music library and a way to search like artist, genre, mood, beat, pop. I don't think there's a way to do that specifically for music. You could load that into like your sound library, I guess. So like the sound library, you can search all your like sounds and it will come up with like your sound effects, which is really cool. This exists in the edit page as well as the Fairlight page. So in theory, I guess you could like, add a description or rename your stuff in a certain way to do that. I don't know if it's worth doing that or not, but you could do that. Why not grade with wide gamut? I seem to get more dynamic range when grading this way, plus HDR wheels. Wide gamut's great. Yeah, I would totally do that. It's just another step. And if you're working in camera color space anyway, like a lot of the time, it's going to be a negligible difference. But if you have something like where you have a bunch of different types of footage, like with all different like color spaces and stuff, making those all DaVinci wide gamut, probably a good idea. Yeah. What's the recommended way to color correct several clips at once that you'll be moving across multiple timelines? A shared node becomes a regular node when a clip is moved. You can do that with local and remote versions, I think. I don't have a lot of experience with that, but I know that's kind of how you do that. So that would take a Google. I would Google that. There's probably some good info in the Resolve manual as well for that. How would you sync up the same audio from two different clips? Do you mean like how would you make a synced sequence, like a multicam sequence? How can I have the cat stay in one position while I move the background horizontally? I'm not sure what that means. I'm sorry if I don't quite understand. I'm sorry. How to edit or cut a 1-hour clip into a 10-minute highlight in a short amount of time. The way that I would do that, Red Panda, is using the audio. Like the best way that I found, let's see if I have something even with audio. I think most of my stuff is visual. Let me open a different thing here. So like here's an interview, right? And what I sometimes like to do, if I'm going to cut an interview, is I'll just kind of make this a little easier on us. If I'm going to cut an interview, is half the time, it depends on the type of video you're making, right? But like, I set my keyboard shortcuts as S for split, and then Q to make a split here and select this, like everything before the playhead all the way up to this and delete it. So when I hit Q, look what happens. And W basically does it the other way, right? So like we can say Q like this. I'll turn off our audio here. Oops, where is it? There it is. Okay. It moves on every page. So like I would go through like this and just literally hold the playhead and just take any part that I would turn off snapping, take any part that seems like it's quiet, would go through and do this. This is how we do a lot of the tutorials, is just you go through and just really mercilessly cut things like this to start out with. And then you have kind of your shortened version of your video so that you can look at, and usually there's just like repeats or bad takes or whatever. And you can go through and just be like, actually listen to it, right? And then you just go through and be like, yeah, this is bad. We don't need this. We don't need this part. And that's like the quickest way that I know to cut something down. I think that goes really quick. Show how to set up that shortcut. So in the upper right-hand corner, upper left-hand corner, there's keyboard customization. And this one is called end to playhead. So we want ripple end to playhead. By default, it's Control Shift right bracket. There's also start to playhead, right? Again, ripple, start to playhead. So I have that as Q. By default, it's Control Shift left bracket. Split clip is under timeline. By default, it's Control \, but I like to set it as S. And I like that because S and Q and W are right by each other on the keyboard. And so you can just go, you know, SQ, 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 SQ all the way through it. Yep. What's up, Jason? How are you, man? Good to see you. Guys, if you want to learn about Fairlight, go and follow Jason. Jason Yadlovsky in the chat right there. If you want to learn Fairlight, go and sub to his channel. That guy is way awesome at Fairlight. Much better than I am. Please. What's the difference in smoothing adjustments for real-time frame versus real-time speed? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I'm not sure where that is. I want to make a preview of what's happening later in the video, like a little window that happens later in the video. How do you do that? Well, one way that you could do that is just like grab whatever's later, hold down Alt, and then just drag it up here like this. Then you can select this and go to the inspector and just like zoom it out. Something like that. So it's kind of hard to see right here, but you can zoom that out and kind of do something like that. That's a quick, easy, cheap way to do that. You can do something like that. All right. I have a question that you may not be able to answer here, but here we go. When I track text to a video and then export it, the text tracking is always jittery. I use Planar Transform to track. You got to just make sure that your track is good, because sometimes that's just that your track isn't good. And so sometimes it takes a few different tries and different ways of tracking to make that work. Sometimes you have to like step through it frame by frame. It kind of depends on what it is. So I hope that helps. Is there a way to automatically resize the shape of a rectangle based on the bounding of a text node? There are fancy ways that you can hook that up. The easiest way to do that, though, let me show you this. The easiest way to do something like that, let's make a new Fusion comp. The easiest way to kind of get something like that going is if you have like your text plus, right? Here under shading, you can go to like element 2 and enable element 2. And right here under appearance, you can turn this to like blocks, basically border fill, and look what it does. It puts these kind of backgrounds over it, and you can extend the horizontal, and now it essentially makes a box, right? And you can adjust that. And here's what's really cool. That is based on the text that you're putting in here. So if you're saying dogs, or you're saying, hello, my name is Casey, it expands to that. So that's the way that I usually do it. If I know I'm going to be like changing it around so much, is I'll build it right into the shading of the text plus in Fusion. That's the best way to do it, in my opinion. Okay. or at Mohit. If you guys need help with anything, help@rthstudios.com. That's where we're after. Is there any other way to create an audio spectrum other than the classic Reactor plugin, because it only accepts the up to 50 megabyte files and my projects require much bigger kind of files? I don't know. I haven't looked into that very much. There might be a way to like transcode the files that you need just to use that and then switch it out or something. Good computer for DaVinci Resolve 17. I would recommend like a high-end gaming PC. That's like the cheapest way to build a powerful computer, in my opinion. If you're aiming for like high-end, like as good of a gaming PC as you can get, that's going to run Resolve pretty well. That's basically what we build here. I have 3 buttons on the side of my mouse and I have these shortcuts set up to those buttons. Super quick cutting that weight. Yeah, that's a great idea. If you have 2 clips separated by a big gap, is there a shortcut to snap clip to previous clip, or do I have to drag it over? You can select the empty space. You can select the empty space like this and just hit backspace on the keyboard. You can totally do that. Another thing, in case you don't know, is if you're in trim mode, like this little button right here, trim edit mode. These aren't linked, which is the problem, but okay. But if you're in trim mode, you can trim it like this and it won't make a gap, which is kind of nice. That also is like the default behavior in the cut page. What does the dropper thing do in the color page? Are you talking about this panel right here? Or are you talking about like the color dropper on, that's a great frame. Are you talking about the color dropper on the screen? Let me know. That's a huge time save. Good. Can you make a preset for Fusion, specifically preset effects that I can quickly insert instead of having to remake it every time? Yes, you can do that. There are guides. I would Google that. I don't have a really recent guide on that. How do I expand the image in the color page? Like, look at it full screen. You hit Control F, and that will bring it up. You can also hit Shift F, and that will bring up like almost full screen. That's the way to do it. That's how we do it. The left one next to the A. Oh, this one. This one. That's our white balance. Okay, so the way that you use that is a way to automatically kind of set the white balance. And it works pretty well. Sometimes. It works pretty well sometimes. So like, let's find something that isn't quite, okay, so this might work. So if I grab this right here, like this, and I bring it over here to something that's white, this table happens to be white, and I click on that, that's going to set that, whatever I color picked, to white. Now, the reason, and it's going to do that with temperature and tint. That's how it's going to do that. And that actually works better than I remember it working. So like, that's not a bad idea to use that. If you know you have something that's white. The problem with that sometimes is like, okay, so if you zoom in really far on a shot, something that's white, like it depends on your type of camera. And it's hard to see. It's hard to see here, but it depends on what you're doing. Like sometimes something that's white might have little speckles in it. And there's no way you guys can see this, but it might have little speckles in it, like where it's like partially pink and then the other one's partially green, and kind of like, if you click on it that way, you might accidentally click on one that's like tinted green, and then it will throw your whole white balance off and make everything magenta, which you just want to be careful with that. That's all. If you do it manually looking at the scopes, that's generally safer. Like you can get a more predictable result that way. but it's worth a shot. I mean, if it's easy to do, sure. Say the footage was shot at night with colored lighting, making the subject look extremely dark. You can't see them. How would you approach editing it so you'd be able to see the subject? So something that's really underexposed, basically. The way to, okay, so here's a shot that's pretty underexposed, right? This is sort of going to work. Long story short, it's not going to look good. It's not going to look super great. So you either live with it dark, or you boost it up and it degrades the image, right? So on this project, we basically just lived with it dark. But you could push up the gain or push up the offset maybe, and really like start to push that up. You can add a little bit of contrast and bring your pivot down to where there's still plenty of contrast here. You can push your lift down. And so you can kind of like mess with it enough to where you're starting to get kind of a better signal. But what's going to happen, what is going to happen is it's going to make the image look worse. So this is like worked surprisingly well. I'm surprised it looks this good, but depending on your camera, like this is shot with a Pocket 6K, right? And so it still looks pretty good. Still pretty usable, but basically the more that you boost something, the more noise you're going to get. And then you're going to have to reduce the noise. And you can reduce the noise quite a bit, and it works pretty well, but it's going to soften the image. And then to counteract that, you have to sharpen it a little bit, which is going to further degrade your image. So like the big takeaway is expose your images right. You're just never going to get as good of a result if you have an underexposed image, right? Right. So, I mean, that shot turned out a lot better than I thought it would. I should have boosted that more in the edit. I thought it would have fallen apart. Oh, well. Okay. Let's see. Let's see where we're at here. You're doing painting tutorials. That's awesome. I think I checked out your channel, actually, Unbounded. How many country fairs have I attended, sir? What? How can I make a blurred background duplicate footage for 4:3 aspect ratio gameplay and keep it consistent across all footage with that aspect ratio? Are you talking about like where something's 4:3 and you want to put it in a 16:9 and you have like the blurry edges? Is that what you're talking about? Fusion versus Nuke. I haven't used Nuke a lot. From what I understand, they're very similar. I did use Nuke for like a short season, like a week once, and it was really cool, but that was before I thought nodes were the dopeness, so. Green screen question. I can't get rid of the spill, but keep the thin black glasses. Please help. Ooh. That might be really hard. Honestly, I'm a little rusty on green screen stuff. I'm going to have to, it is my plan to study that and get a lot better at that over here in a while. What about overexposed? Overexposed, you can't do a whole lot with either. You have to have stuff in its... The one trick for overexposed is sometimes if you have skin that's overexposed, you can sort of rescue it by turning the highlights down and tinting them skin color. You can sort of make it better, but it's never going to look as good as if you exposed it right. How long do you spend editing in a day? I don't personally spend a ton of time editing. Unless, I mean, If you're talking about like recording training or like recording tutorials and doing things to prep for the tutorials, doing color, doing fusion, if that all counts as editing, then yeah, it's probably a couple hours a day. But if you're talking about like editing my videos, our poor hero, our poor friend soldier Sam has the unfortunate job of listening to all of my ramblings before they're cut down and concise. I want to essentially get rid of the black borders in favor of the footage that's blurred on those borders. Yeah, so okay, you're asking for just a quick way to do that. Okay, so the easiest way to do that, let me, I'm just going to use a random thing because it's the same thing either way, okay? I'm going to crop this just to give us a little bit of, just to simulate this, okay? But let's say you have a shot that's like this and you don't want those black borders. The way that you can do this is you put it on the second track, hold down Alt and duplicate this down here, okay? Hold down Alt and get rid of this audio too. So you have the same clip duplicated, and then this bottom one, you just zoom it in like that so it fills up everything, right? And then go to Effects, and under Open Effects, something like Lens Blur, Gaussian Blur, something like that. Click on that, go to your effects, and boost up the strength. And that's how you do it. Something like that. So, and then you could do that, like, you could do your whole edit, like your entire edit, and just, again, Alt drag that up, select the bottom part, zoom it in, add the blur. You could even select this one, hit Control C, select all the bottom ones, and hit Alt V, and that's just paste attributes. You can also just right click and say paste attributes, and paste your zoom, paste your plugins, and hit apply. And what that'll do is move everything up, zoom it up, and make it blurry. And you could do that under your entire edit if you want to. Does that help? Does that make sense? How does that differ from the blanking effect? Blanking effect probably does the same thing. I forgot about that. Yeah, you could do that. Blanking fill does the same thing. Do that. Yeah, but either way. Yeah, I forgot they added that pretty recently, didn't they? Yeah. Any chance DaVinci Resolve has grids option hidden somewhere? They don't have a grid, I don't think, but you can turn on title safe, which I think is under, gosh, now you're, it's like different in all, in like, I think it's under view maybe, viewer overlay, no. I forget exactly how to do that. It's different in the edit page versus the color page versus Fusion. Like in Fusion, you can right click and go to guides, and you can show guides, and that'll show you like, oh my gosh, you guys can't see this. I'm so sorry. Okay. You can, in Fusion, sorry. In Fusion, you can right click here and say guides, show guides, or you can hit Control G. And so you can do that, but it doesn't have like a grid really. I wish it had a grid. Gosh, I don't understand why anything doesn't have a grid that you can snap things to. Like My Kingdom, for a grid you can snap things to. Ugh. Okay. If you're doing animations with multiple images, would you do it in the Fusion page or on the timeline of the edit page? It depends on how complicated the animation is. If it's just like zooming out like a dynamic zoom kind of thing, I would do that in the edit page probably. But if it's like you want one to fly in and like stop and then swish out, that's probably Fusion, because you can control the motion a little easier. Color page layout problem. In the latest version of the color page, the bottom layout shifts from 3 column to 2 from time to time. Any idea how to fix this? I think it has to do with your UI scaling, which I'm trying to think of. I think that has to do with the UI scaling in your system preferences, like on your computer. I'm pretty sure. How do I crop a particular place? What do you mean by that? There's a generate grid effects in the effects library. Okay, yeah, you could do that. Sure, that's a great idea. How long does it take to learn Premiere Pro and After Effects? Yeah, it depends on the person. If you're familiar with video editing, it might not take very long. You know, if you're coming from Final Cut, it's probably not a big deal, right? After Effects might be. After Effects is a little different. We'll have to zoom to the next resolution, i.e. 6K, and zoom to 4K, for instance. Yeah, you would just have to keyframe that, I would say. Yeah, use adjustment clip, add grid, and then delete later. You could totally do that. Yeah, that's great. But yeah, I don't think there's like a built-in grid overlay thing. Best way to share link footage from DaVinci to Premiere AAF don't link clearly. It's kind of janky. In theory, the XML works the best, but I have mixed results with that. But I haven't done it in a long time. I haven't done it for like a couple versions because I do everything in Resolve. So, do I like trees? Yes. Trees are the bomb. My computer is well spec'd but old. I often only need 25 frames per second, but footage arrives in 50 or 100. Optimized media locks up my computer for hours. How can I work faster, especially in Fusion? Ooh, man. You might be able to do proxies. That might work a little better than optimizing media. It's kind of the same idea. But man, it's hard to get around. Like you just need a pretty recent, very well spec'd computer to run Resolve, and especially Fusion. Thank you for your excellent tutorials. They help me a lot and are a wonderful resource to watch again if I forget about something. That's awesome, Stormy. Thank you. Is there a way you can compose music in the Fairlight tab? Sam, is there a way you can compose music in the Fairlight tab? Yeah. Do they do MIDI or anything? I don't think so. I don't think there's a great, really nice way to do that. No. Yeah, you can probably like import tracks and mix them. You can import tracks and mix them, but like you're not gonna like do MIDI and and record stuff. Probably not the best thing for that. You'd probably want to use a DAW for that, like a different, like a music-based DAW. Whereas like you could do that in something like Pro Tools, you know. Do you think Blackmagic Design will drastically improve the Fusion performance in version 18? I hope so. I don't know. I hope so. How can I stop DaVinci making my gaming footage look washed out? Ooh, I wonder why that is. How are you recording it? Gwent. Right. Let's see, what else? Can you show how to make a custom transition? I've tried the method where you right click and open transition in Fusion, but no dice. I'm trying to think of, I haven't done it for a while and they've changed it a little bit. I know, I think Patrick probably has a video on that. I feel like Patrick has a video on that. Patrick Sterling, but I'm not sure. So I probably can't show you that and have it actually be good. We can kind of guess through it together if you want, but I don't know if it'd be the very best use of our time. How do you match cut in the edit page? Is there a secret? How to get the last frame of the footage before and the part where the playhead is? Oh, are you talking about like, okay. Are you talking about like for continuity? Let's see if we have something. I don't know if I have something that would work. Oh, actually, okay, hold on. Let's see if we can grab one of these. I think I think I can put something together to show you here. So like, I feel like there are a couple of these. Oh, I don't have them. I don't have them listed. Okay, but here's how you would do it. Basically, I don't have a great way to show you this exact thing. But what I like to do is I go through and I find the place like that I want to cut. Of course, he's not like moving or doing anything. Okay, how about this? Let's do it this way. Let's simulate it, okay? This is obviously going to work so much better than you normally would, but it's the same idea, okay? So let's say we have a close-up of this girl, and we have like a wider shot, right? And let's say we want to cut this on action. I assume this is what you mean. Yeah, you can record audio cascade, but it's different than like doing MIDI necessarily. I don't think it would be my first choice to use Fusion for that, or to use Fairlight for that. So let's say like when she moves this way, right? When she starts to move, maybe that's where we want to cut. So what I would do is just trim it right there, and then I would find where she starts to move out here. Like she's going to move towards this way like that. Then we can cut into it like this and put these together. And now we have a matched cut, right? Obviously that works perfectly because this is the same clip, but it's the same idea. You can also, once these are together, you can grab right in between these like this, and you can move this cut back and forth, and you can see the last frame of the first clip and the first frame of the last clip here, so that you know, like you can kind of pick that moment that you want to cut. So like, let's pick that moment right when she, like you can start to see her hand right there. You can do it that way. So does that help? Just put all the edits in the right place. How do I cut videos in half? No problem. No problem. Here's a video. Right here, you want to make it half? You can grab the blade, cut it right there. No problem. You can do that. You can also split it at the playhead by hitting Control /. That works. Cut it like that. That's how you do it. Is speed warp as good as Twixtor? Probably not. Probably not. Twixtor is like designed to do exactly what it does, and speed warp I don't think is probably as advanced. Hey, thanks, Train Your Thoughts. I appreciate that. Yes, that's what I mean. Awesome. Good. Glad that's helpful. OBS 1080, 60 frames a second, getting sRGB setting with full color. Okay. Does it look okay if you open it up if you open up the footage in like VLC or something, does it still look washed out? How do I insert a clip between existing clips on my timeline? When I try it, it cuts parts off the existing clip, and all I want is to sit in between two other clips. Sure. So if you want to, like, let's say I want to put, sure, this clip right here in between these two clips. I can make my selection, like my in and out here, and then I can hit this button right here, which is insert clip. I can also hit F9, and look what happens. It just puts it in between. That's probably the easiest way to do it. If you have your inspector closed, you can also drag this over, and there's a little pop-up here, and you can just drop that on insert, and that will do the same thing. It'll put it right where the playhead is. I believe you can also, if you drag this down, you can hold Control Shift. Is that right? Yeah, Control Shift, and you can place that in between stuff. So like if you decide that you want to do that later. Also, if you grab something from the timeline and you want to kind of move other clips around the way, Control Shift will do the same thing. So I hope that helps. How would you advise getting back into video editing? Yeah, and somebody was asking me about this earlier, which I never quite got to. So advice for anybody who's getting into video editing now, all right, who wants to start doing some kind of video editing. The very, 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 very best advice I can give you is get some kind of footage. That can be anything. It can be stuff from stock footage sites. You can totally not download copyrighted stuff. Totally don't do that. Don't download copyrighted stuff and then just practice with it and not tell anybody. It's still wrong. Okay? Somehow get some footage that you want to play with and open it up and play with it. That is the best way. Look at a tutorial, watch it all the way through, and then close it, and then try and do it from memory. And then you'll probably realize things that you didn't pay attention to or you don't understand or whatever. Then you can go back to the tutorial and figure out what you did wrong. That's the best way to learn. That's like scientifically like a really good way to learn, okay? So you get something to practice with, watch some kind of tutorial or some kind of guide on how to do it, and then try it from memory, and then suck at it, and then go back and refine it. That's how you learn. That's the fastest way to learn, in my opinion. Are there any restrictions about the aspect ratio on the DaVinci free version? I don't think so. No. The restrictions for that would be like resolution, right? So learn by doing. Why do my videos suck? I don't know. What kind of videos are you making? Thank you so much for your response on how to insert clips. I've been at my wit's end trying to figure that out. That helps. Okay, good. Wide gamut is great, but Fusion seems to be unsupported. Yes. It was wondering if you knew any more native solution. Yeah, so that's why I like to do color management in nodes, is because the automatic color management is jank city when it comes to Fusion. So if you want to talk more about that, we might have time to get into that. But yeah, it's okay to fail as long as you keep trying. Exactly. How do I make a simple animation of a bulb flickering? Please help. I need for a lyric video. Thanks for all your videos, man. So like if you have like a picture of a bulb, you would basically need it to be lit up and then not lit up and then just fade in between the two, which you could totally do that in the edit page. You could totally like overlay a clip of a lit up light bulb and a clip over a clip of a light bulb that's not, and literally just like fade the top one in and out. You could totally do that. There's also fancy ways to do that with like an expression in Fusion. But, you know, give some tips for YouTube. What kind of tips? Like what are you asking about for YouTube? Do I need a Blackmagic deck link to see HDR in DaVinci, or is there another way I can input and output HDR? I believe you do need that, but I don't know. I don't have a lot of experience with HDR. That's still something I'm learning. Yeah, 100 best way is to learn to play around with it. I'm always messing around, trying stuff, then watching Casey's vid to see how to actually do it. That's what I do, honestly, like, is if I don't know something, I'll go and look at a video on it, and then I'll go and try it. Just go and try it. And honestly, like, if you're learning how to edit, it's really helpful to shoot your own stuff. Even if you don't know anything about lighting or cameras or anything, shoot something that looks awful and then bring in the footage and make an edit, make a story, and then render it out and do that again. And the next time you do it, it'll be better. The next time it'll be better. The next time it'll be better. Would you recommend getting the studio version of Resolve? Yes, I would. I think it's worth it. There are some cool things with the studio version. The big thing is that it takes advantage of your system a little better. So you can render using the graphics card. You can render higher resolution stuff. There's some noise reduction that's really good. It's worth it for sure. Especially since it's a one-time thing and you get free updates, man. Like, you know. Hey, Paul Travels, take it easy. I'm interested to see how Krita screen capture would work in DaVinci Resolve. Haven't seen a tutorial on it yet. I'm not familiar with how Krita does. Are you talking about just like a screen capture of working in Krita? Or is there like a fancy way that it does it? Studio is $300 right now. Looking forward to next ResolveCon. Me too. Guys, we are planning a new ResolveCon. But I can't tell you anything about it yet. Other than I think it's going to be really cool. And it's going to be in October. I can tell you that. It's going to be really cool, and it's in October. Can Resolve make steamier transitions, or should I invest in After Effects for that type of work? You can absolutely do that in Resolve. I have a tutorial on that, actually, how to make transitions for OBS. Yep. Your green screen video was so helpful. Going to watch your Fairlight stuff next. Awesome. Let's see. How is freelancing scenario and video editing? Is there any scope earning-wise? Are you asking like how much you can expect to make doing freelancing for video editing? If so, the answer is it depends on the market. Depends on what kind of videos you're doing. You know, if you're doing like basic edits for like a major pharmaceutical company or something, it might be really good money. Like, I don't know. It depends on the client. It really depends. And it depends on where you live too. Like around here, it's not like a huge market. And so you can't charge a whole lot for video editing around here. Whereas like in LA, you might be able to, depending on the kind of things you're doing. How can I align text correctly without checking the access in the inspector? I'm pretty sure you have to check the access in the inspector. Pretty sure. Can you do a video for a like button animation? I have one for a subscribe button, which is going to be basically the same thing. Can I use plugins in Resolve free version? Yes. How do I drag the clips with the markers and the timeline at the same time? Are you talking about timeline markers or clip markers? Have I ever used Fiverr? Yes. Storytelling tips like you make for Fusion video. Storytelling tips. I have mold inside my cup. No, it's like speckled. It's like a speckled paint thing. I hope it's not mold. One last question. Is it possible to make some kind of graphic on the screen like storage temperature 15 degrees? Yeah. Yeah, you can do that in Fusion. That's easy. You can do that just with text. Yeah, you can totally do that. Any way to know the file size of your render before? Why are people calling me? What's the matter? Nobody knows. Okay. Workflow for a 2-screen setup. I use a 1-screen because 2-screen is kind of jank with Resolve. That you can use a 2-screen, but I don't know. I like to keep things simple. I'm kind of like one of those simple type of person, and I don't like to like chase things around in between screens. So I generally have 1 screen. How do I use Fusion? I have a lot of basic Fusion tutorials on my channel. You can check those out. How much experience do I have with editing software like Premiere, After Effects, and DaVinci? I've been using them on a regular basis, on a daily basis since probably 2007. When I'm in the color page working on a clip, I need to go to the next clip. Yeah, that's true. Is there a way to create shortcuts so I can tap a key and jump to the next clip to start working? In the color page, you just hit up and down. Check this out. Dude, you just hit up and down. Up and down on the keyboard will go to the next clip. Yeah. Yep, that's the way to do it. Up and down. All right. Guys, thanks for the AeroPress tutorial. My most hated tutorial to date. The markers on the top of the edit timeline, they stay in place when I move clips. Yeah. Yeah, they kind of do that. It's there. I don't know if there's a way around that. You could like insert something to move everything down and make sure that you have moved like ripple timeline markers in your settings. That's a way to do it. Yeah. All right, guys, I have to go. This has been really cool. This a couple hours has flown by. There are so many questions here, guys. I'm completely overwhelmed by how many questions there are. You guys are wonderful. Thank you for hanging with me. If you have other questions, will you just comment on this VOD, like, because we'll have a replay of it. Just comment on this video, and I will try to address things in future videos. Okay, that sound good? All right. Hey, thank you everybody for being awesome. You are wonderful. Really, really appreciate you. And I'll see you later.